Thank you, thank you. Thank you. I so appreciate that warm welcome. And Jennifer Granholm, thank you very much for your warm and enthusiastic introduction. And thanks to each and every one of you for coming to be a part of this Global Climate Action Summit. It is already a magnificent success because the commitments that have already been announced have added momentum to this global movement, and more are coming today. And I want to thank Governor Jerry Brown for organizing this conference and doing such a fantastic job. Wow. And on a personal point, I would like to honor the memory of a wonderful woman who was Jerry Brown's chief of staff. She died last March 21st, but she put her heart and soul into the vision for this conference, Nancy McFadden, and I want to honor her memory here. The other co-sponsors, I want to thank Mike Bloomberg, who's been doing just amazing things and is so committed and effective. Zhizhen Hua, one of my personal heroes who has driven this movement in China and around the world. Patricia Espinosa, who's heading up the UN Climate Group and building on the wonderful work of Christiana Figueres, and Patricia is doing fantastic. Anand Mahindra from India, and Jayatha Wikramanayake, representing the young people of the world. These co-sponsors have done a wonderful job. So I only have a few minutes, and I feel a little bit like the old joke that everything's been said, but not everyone has had a chance to say it. But I just want to cover 3 points and end on the most important one. The first question, which a few in the world are still wrestling with, is do we really have to change? We get 80% of our energy from carbon fuels. Looks like it might be a hassle to really convert. And of course, the answer, as Jennifer said, this is the first time in history that 2 major storms are making landfall from the Atlantic and the Pacific simultaneously. And each recalls some of their predecessors. Florence, Hurricane Florence, is similar to Hurricane Harvey in the sense that the disruption of the Northern Hemisphere jet stream, which the scientists can explain and I can't, but it's for real. That's what's keeping these storms in the same place so that they drop so much water. Where Super Typhoon Mangkhut is concerned, it recalls Super Typhoon Haiyan, which created 4 million climate refugees. And even without the cyclonic storms, we are putting so much heat into the oceans. You know, we're using the sky as an open sewer. This is literally insane. We put 110 million tons of man-made heat-trapping pollution up there every day, including today. The cumulative amount now traps as much extra heat energy as would be released by 400,000 Hiroshima atomic bombs going off every single day. And it's a big planet, but that's a lot of energy. And that's why the temperatures are going up every year. Thousands of high temperature records have been broken this year. And heat stress is one of the many health consequences. But more than 90% of that heat goes into the oceans, and it's disrupting the water cycle that is at the base of life on this planet. And it's putting so much more moisture into the atmosphere that we get these rain bombs. And that's why we have these floods and mudslides on a regular basis. The same extra heat is drying out the land and creating these droughts. That's why Cape Town almost ran out of water last year. That's why the southwestern United States is in drought, the Korean Peninsula, Mongolia, Southeast Asia. This is happening all over the world. That's why the fires are raging. We're less than 1 month away from the largest fire in the history of this state of California that had a fire tornado with wind speeds as fierce and fast as the wind speeds in these cyclonic storms. 129 million trees dead in California, which means the risk of more fires is there. Every night on the television news is like a nature hike through the book of Revelation, and we've got to connect the dots between the cause and the effect. And we're seeing refugees. You know, you can deny, some people evidently can still deny the reality. It's a little bit harder to deny the 3,000 deaths in Puerto Rico from Hurricane Maria last year. Come on! How far down that rabbit hole are people going to follow? This is utter insanity. We have to wake up. We are alive in this moment. We are awake. We have to take action. So the answer to the question, do we have to change, is obviously yes. The tropical diseases moving north, the refugees that are fleeing these areas that are becoming in danger of becoming literally unlivable, uninhabitable, yes, we have to change. The good news is we can change, and you've heard from so many here that we have a relief that is literally heaven sent from the sun and from the winds, and the cheapness of this electricity from renewable sources is now making it not only competitive, but in most geographies, cheaper than electricity from fossil fuels. And now the batteries are getting better, and the electric vehicles are already better. And the efficiency improvements, they don't get as much attention, but let me tell you this. Our world is in the early stages of a sustainability revolution that's built on the new digital tools of the Internet of Things and machine learning and artificial intelligence, and it's giving executive teams the ability to manage electrons and atoms and molecules with the same precision the IT companies have used in managing bits of information. And this sustainability revolution is sweeping the globe. It has the magnitude of the Industrial Revolution and the speed of the digital revolution. We can do this. We've decoupled emissions from economic prosperity. California has led the way, as is so often the case. We have the tools we need. We can solve this crisis. So that only leaves the final question, will we change? And that's what this Global Climate Action Summit is all about. Do we as human beings have the inherent capacity to rise above our limitations and expand our moral imagination to grasp the true dangers that we face and the size of the magnificent opportunities that we are now confronting, and really do our duty not only for future generations but for those alive today? And let's also always remember that it is the poor and the disadvantaged and those who suffer discrimination who are the first victims of this climate crisis. But all of us are in the line of fire. The Paris Agreement, do not forget the significance of this, because it has pointed the way to a world that is united in taking action. All 195 nations of the world are committed. And yes, I know Donald Trump made a speech, and most of you know that under the law, and we are still in the United States a nation under law as of right now, and we will continue to be. And under the law, the first day the U.S. could legally withdraw is the first day after the next presidential election. And by the way, if there is a new president, excuse me for a moment, then a new president could simply give 30 days notice and we're right back in the Paris Agreement. There was a great economist named Rudy Dornbush who once said, things take longer to happen than you think they will, but then they happen much faster than you thought they could. And every great moral revolution that has improved the condition of humanity has met with fierce resistance until we reached a critical mass of women and men who were sharing the same conviction that we have to choose between right and wrong. And that is the essential choice here. We are seeing businesses lead the way. We are seeing investors lead the way. We're seeing cities and counties and all kinds of civic organizations leading the way. We must do it. We can do it. I'm convinced ever more because of the success of this summit here in San Francisco that we will do it. And I'll just close with this reminder. For anyone who doubts that we as human beings have the political will to meet our obligations that history is demanding of us, just remember that political will is itself a renewable resource. Thank you for renewing it. Thank you.